FIFA's 2026 World Cup ticket backlash is now about your money, your trip, and whether the biggest soccer event on earth has priced out its own fans. You were told demand was historic, but new ticket drops, sky-high final prices, and weak travel signs are telling a more complicated story. And the warning is clear. A tournament built to break records may also become the moment ordinary fans start walking away. The proof is not one angry post online. It is in the ticket pages, the hotel forecasts, the flight numbers, the train fares, and the political pressure now closing in on FIFA. For 1 month, the world stops. Flags come out, families gather around televisions, fans fly across oceans, streets fill with shirts, songs, accents, drums, and hope. That is what the World Cup sells. Not just football, belonging. And in 2026, that promise was supposed to be bigger than ever. The United States, Canada, and Mexico are hosting the largest World Cup in history. 48 teams, 104 matches, 16 host cities, a tournament running from June 11th to July 19th, 2026. FIFA wants this to be the most successful World Cup ever staged, and on paper, it has everything needed to become exactly that. Bigger stadiums, bigger television markets, bigger sponsors, bigger commercial power, bigger global attention. But before the first ball has even been kicked, the story has started to shift. Not because fans stopped loving football, not because the matches are weak, not because the World Cup has lost its magic. The problem is cost. Ticket cost, travel cost, hotel cost, train cost, visa cost, resale cost, the total cost of actually being there. And that is why this backlash is becoming dangerous for FIFA. Because fans are not just complaining about one expensive seat, they are asking whether the tournament was designed for them at all. FIFA has been telling the world that demand is massive. Earlier this year, FIFA said it received more than 500 million ticket requests in just over a month. Gianni Infantino used that number as proof that the world wanted in. 500 million requests sounds like the argument is already over. It sounds like every stadium should be packed, every hotel should be full, and every flight into North America should be fighting for space. But then came the part that made people pause. On April 1st, FIFA opened what it called a last-minute sales phase. Then, on April 22nd, FIFA announced another ticket release across all 104 matches. Now, to be fair, that does not automatically mean disaster. Big events often release tickets in phases. Some seats are held for sponsors, federations, broadcasters, hospitality buyers, teams, and operations. Some inventory returns. Some plans change. So the honest claim is not that nobody is buying tickets. That would be too simple. The real warning is different. FIFA is still saying demand is historic, while the market is showing stress around the very thing that can decide whether this tournament feels like a global celebration or a luxury product: affordability. That is the word now sitting at the center of the 2026 World Cup, and one number changed the whole conversation. $32,970. That was the reported price for top final seats at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. One seat, one match, one night. That price was far above the earlier high of $10,990 for top final seats, and miles beyond what top category World Cup final tickets cost in Qatar in 2022. For wealthy buyers, maybe that is just the price of access. For ordinary fans, it sounds like a wall. So when fans see a final ticket price near $33,000, they do not hear premium category. They hear exclusion. They hear the world's game being moved behind a velvet rope. And once that feeling takes hold, every other cost starts to look like part of the same machine. The hotel price, the flight price, the train price, the resale fee, the service charge, the visa barrier, the dynamic pricing system, the sense that every step of the fan experience has been turned into another chance to extract money. That is why the backlash is not staying inside fan forums. US lawmakers have now challenged FIFA's pricing model. House Democrats pushed FIFA to lower prices and raised concerns about dynamic pricing, limited low-cost access, and fairness for fans. In Europe, Euro consumers and Football Supporters Europe filed a complaint with the European Commission over FIFA's ticket practices, calling for clearer sales conditions, more consumer protection, and an end to dynamic pricing for certain fans. That is a major shift. This is no longer just supporters saying prices are too high. It is becoming a political and regulatory issue. And that matters because the World Cup does not happen in a vacuum. It uses public roads, public transit, public security, public attention, and public goodwill. Cities sell the tournament as a benefit to workers, businesses, restaurants, hotels, and families. But if the public starts to feel priced out of its own event, politicians eventually ask the same question fans are asking: who is this really for? FIFA's answer is simple: demand is huge. The market decides. The tournament is historic. Premium seats command premium prices. And from a pure business view, that argument makes sense. But football has never survived on business logic alone. Football survives because people believe it belongs to them. These people are not decoration. They are the atmosphere. They are the sound. They are the reason the product has value. And this is where FIFA may have made its biggest mistake. It may have assumed love for the World Cup has no breaking point, but every love has a price limit. And for many fans, the 2026 World Cup is starting to look like the first tournament where the question is not, can I get a ticket? The question is, can I survive the total cost of going? Because the ticket is only the first door. After that comes the travel trap. In New Jersey, fans were stunned by reports of a $98 round-trip rail fare for World Cup match travel, compared with a normal NFL day fare of about $12.90. In Massachusetts, reported World Cup train pricing also came in far above normal event travel. Some host cities have planned cheaper, normal, free, or subsidized options, so this is not the same everywhere. But the damage is already done, because the story fits the larger fear. Fans feel like every part of the experience is being marked up because FIFA is in town. Think about that fan for a second. They finally get through the ticket system. They pay hundreds, maybe thousands for seats. They book the hotel. They book the flight. They arrive excited. And then even the train to the stadium feels like another serious bill. That is not just a transportation issue, it is a message. It says the fan is not being welcomed, the fan is being harvested. This situation is moving fast. By the time mainstream media covers the full picture, the moment to understand it will have passed. Subscribe so you are always ahead of the story, not catching up to it. Because the full picture is much bigger than ticket prices. Look at the hotels. The American Hotel and Lodging Association warned that many hotels in U.S. host cities are tracking below earlier World Cup forecasts. Nearly 80% of surveyed hotel operators in host cities said booking pace was below expectations. In Kansas City, the report said roughly 85 to 90% of respondents were underperforming compared with projections, and some were even trailing what they would expect in a normal June or July without a World Cup. Bookings can come late. Fans can wait for prices to fall. Some people may stay with friends, use short-term rentals, stay outside the host city, or travel in only for match day. But it is still a warning, because host cities were sold a dream. Hotels would fill, restaurants would boom, bars would overflow, airports would surge, local workers would benefit, tax revenue would rise. The World Cup would not just bring matches, it would bring money. That is the economic promise behind almost every mega event. But if fans look at the full price and decide to stay home, that promise becomes weaker. FIFA may still win. FIFA has sponsors, media rights, hospitality, ticket revenue, and resale fees. But the local restaurant does not get a broadcast deal. The server does not get a hospitality package. The hotel cleaner does not get a cut of FIFA's commercial machine. The taxi driver does not benefit from a fan who never arrives. That is why weak hotel demand matters. A World Cup fan is not only a person in a seat. That fan is a flight booking, a hotel night, a restaurant table, a train ride, a bar tab, a jersey sale, a city tax receipt, a memory. When that fan does not come, the loss spreads far beyond the stadium. Now look at international travel. Cirium data reported by Skift showed July 2026 bookings from Europe to the United States down 14.2% compared with the same month a year earlier. Some European origin cities showed even sharper drops. Again, this can change. Airline bookings move, fans may buy later, prices may shift, but hesitation matters. A World Cup depends on confidence. Fans need to believe the trip will work. They need to believe they can get into the country. They need to believe visas will be handled. They need to believe hotels will not punish them. They need to believe transit will function. They need to believe they will feel safe. And they need to believe the event actually wants them there. That is where 2026 faces a special challenge. This is not one country with one system. It is 3 countries, 16 host cities, different transit networks, different border rules, different policing questions, different hotel markets, different safety concerns, different levels of readiness. For FIFA, that makes the event bigger. For fans, it makes the event harder. A supporter might land in New York, stay in New Jersey, ride a special train, watch a match, then fly to Toronto, cross a border, head to Dallas, and maybe finish in Mexico City. That sounds exciting in a promo video. In real life, it is expensive and stressful. And the more expensive the trip becomes, the less patience fans have. At a low price, people forgive inconvenience. At a high price, people expect competence. At a premium price, people expect perfection. That is the trap FIFA has built. The higher the price, the greater the pressure. This is also where the phrase, "fans aren't buying tickets," needs careful handling. There is no solid proof of a broad ticket collapse. Millions of people still want to attend. Many games will attract huge crowds. The final will still be a global event. Some matches will be very hard to get into, but the warning signs are real. Extra ticket releases after massive demand claims, political pressure from Washington, consumer complaints from Europe, high resale fees, expensive transit examples, softer hotel forecasts, weak flight booking signals, visa worries, travel advisories. Taken together, these do not say the World Cup is dead. They say the customer base is stressed. That is a much more useful and more serious conclusion, because anger is not FIFA's biggest problem. Hesitation is. Angry fans still refresh the ticket page. Angry fans still watch videos. Angry fans still argue online. Angry fans may still buy if they fear missing out. But hesitant fans wait. They delay. They compare. They search for cheaper hotels. They watch for price drops. They wonder whether staying home is smarter. And once enough fans believe waiting is smarter than buying, FIFA's pricing power weakens. Dynamic pricing works best when buyers feel urgency. If demand is hot, prices rise. If people fear tickets will vanish, they buy fast. Airlines do this. Hotels do this. Concerts do this. Sports teams do this. But the World Cup is not just another concert. It is supposed to be the one football event that belongs to the whole world. So when fans see prices move, tickets reappear, and official resale fees kick in, they start asking whether the system was built for access or extraction. That is the deeper reason this story is spreading. Fans do not just think tickets are expensive. They think the system is designed to profit from their uncertainty. Buy early because prices may rise. Pay more because demand is huge. Change plans and resell, but accept the fee. Buy resale and absorb the market. Travel anyway and pay whatever the city charges. From the fan side, it can feel like being charged at every door of a building they thought belonged to the people, and that feeling cuts deep because football is not a luxury sport by nature. Football can be played in a street, a schoolyard, a park, a parking lot, or a dusty field. Its beauty is that anyone can understand it, anyone can love it, anyone can dream through it. The World Cup is supposed to be the top of that dream, but if the top becomes unreachable, the dream starts to feel broken. Do you think FIFA is simply responding to demand, or has the organization pushed the world's game too far away from the people who made it powerful? That question matters in the United States because 2026 is supposed to be a showcase moment for American soccer. The 1994 World Cup still holds a special place in American sports history. Total attendance was more than 3.5 million, a record that made the tournament a landmark for soccer in the United States. It helped create the conditions for Major League Soccer. It proved the game could fill American stadiums. It helped turn the U.S. into a serious football market. 2026 was supposed to be the next step. Bigger stadiums, bigger television reach, bigger commercial interest. A chance to turn casual fans into lifelong supporters. But culture is not built only with premium seats. Culture is built when kids can go, when families can go, when local supporters feel invited, when the city feels like part of the event, not just the background behind it. If a young fan in New Jersey, Dallas, Los Angeles, Seattle, or Kansas City sees the World Cup come close but still feels impossible to attend, what does that teach them? That football is growing? Or that the biggest version of football is not meant for them? That is the American risk. The Canadian risk is different, but just as real. Canada is hosting in Toronto and Vancouver at a time when Canadian soccer has more attention than ever. Canadian fans have waited a long time for this. The men's program has gained respect. The women's program already built a proud legacy. This should be a national moment. But Canada is also living through a brutal affordability debate. Housing is expensive, travel is expensive. Hotels in Toronto and Vancouver can already be painful for families. So if World Cup pricing feels out of reach, Canadian fans will ask the same question Americans are asking. How can the event be in our country and still feel like it is not for us? That is politically sensitive. Host nations accept disruption because the public is told they will share in the reward. But if the public gets security zones, traffic, public spending, and high prices, while the best access goes to wealthy tourists and corporate guests, resentment grows. Then there is the immigration and safety layer. More than 120 civil society groups, including groups linked to Amnesty International and the ACLU, issued a travel advisory about visiting the United States during the World Cup. Their concerns included immigration enforcement, protest rights, and risks facing vulnerable travelers. Supporters of the U.S. government reject that warning as political. And it is important to say that many visitors will travel safely. Local officials have every reason to keep the tournament smooth. The security planning will be enormous. The U.S. hosts major events all the time, but perception drives travel. If some international fans believe the trip is risky, confusing, or hostile, that belief can affect bookings before any real-world problem occurs. Visa questions added to that concern. The administration later waived visa bond requirements for some eligible World Cup ticket holders from affected countries, after concerns that bonds of up to $15,000 could become another barrier for fans. That waiver helped remove a possible obstacle, but it also reminded fans that the obstacle existed in the first place. For a traveler, the message becomes messy. Come to the World Cup, but check your visa. Check your bond status. Check your travel advisory. Check your host city. Check your train fare, check your hotel policy, check your resale rules, check whether the total cost still makes sense. That is a lot of checking for an event that is supposed to feel joyful. And when the fan experience becomes that complicated, the tournament risks losing the thing that makes the World Cup special. The traveling crowd, the songs in the streets, the languages in the airport, the jerseys in the subway, the strangers hugging after a late goal, the city square turning into a map of the planet. Television can show the match. It cannot fully replace that. This is why the travel numbers matter. If international turnout weakens, it does not only hurt airlines and hotels. It hurts atmosphere, it hurts fan zones, it hurts the feeling that the world has arrived. A World Cup without enough traveling fans may still be a huge broadcast product, but it does not feel the same. For host cities and businesses, the concern is practical. If forecasts were built on high-spending international visitors, weaker travel demand can change the math quickly. Hotels may cut expectations. Restaurants may see shorter peaks. Smaller businesses may not get the summer they planned for. Some cities may perform well, while others feel disappointed. That creates an uneven World Cup. FIFA can succeed while some local businesses miss their targets. Premium hospitality can sell while ordinary fans stay home. The stadium can look full while the wider city sees less benefit than promised. And that is the core tension. FIFA's definition of success is revenue, sponsors, global reach, ticket sales, hospitality, and a smooth final. The public's definition is access, fairness, atmosphere, safety, and shared benefit. Those two definitions are now colliding. There is also a wider political layer. The 2026 World Cup arrives in a tense world. The United States is divided. Canada is under affordability pressure. Mexico faces its own security and infrastructure challenges. Europe is watching US politics closely. Global South fans are watching visa rules closely. Human rights groups are watching enforcement closely. FIFA wants to keep the event above politics, but the World Cup is never above politics. It is soft power. It is national branding. It is tourism. It is border policy. It is public spending. It is policing. It is corporate power. It is a test of whether three countries can welcome the world without making the world feel priced out, monitored, or pushed away. For the United States, the stakes are image and influence. America wants to show confidence, scale, safety, and commercial power. But the risk is that fans see high costs, confusing logistics, and an event that feels more corporate than welcoming. For Canada, the stakes are reputation and inclusion. Toronto and Vancouver can show the world a diverse, modern, football-loving country. But if ordinary Canadian families feel priced out, the emotional payoff becomes smaller. For Mexico, the stakes are football pride and regional power. Mexico has deep football culture and knows how to host. But even in a football nation, affordability still matters. A North American World Cup can still leave local supporters outside the gates if prices climb too high. That is the strange thing about 2026. It is geographically bigger than ever, but for many fans, it may feel smaller. More matches, more cities, more teams, more ticket categories, more ways to buy, more ways to spend, but maybe fewer realistic paths for ordinary supporters to actually live the experience. And this is the part FIFA should worry about. Fans are learning the system. They are learning that massive demand claims do not always mean every seat is gone. They are learning that ticket drops can arrive later. They are learning that hotel prices can soften if forecasts miss. They are learning that waiting may sometimes beat panic buying. Once fans learn that, the old urgency weakens. Buy now because demand is huge. Buy now because prices may rise. Buy now because this is your only chance. That only works while fans believe it. If they stop believing it, they wait. And waiting is dangerous for any pricing model built on fear of missing out. Now, FIFA is not powerless. The tournament can still be a major success. Prices can adjust. Last-minute demand can arrive. Fans can flood in late. Hotels can fill closer to match day. The matches can deliver unforgettable moments. The final can become one of the most watched sporting events ever. But even if the tournament succeeds commercially, the warning remains. A World Cup can make money and still feel unfair. A stadium can be full and still leave millions priced out. A tournament can break records and still damage trust. That is what FIFA is facing now. Not just a sales problem, a legitimacy problem. Because the real question is not whether rich fans will buy the best seats. They will. The real question is whether the rest of the world sees this tournament as a celebration they can join or a product they can only watch from outside. Should FIFA treat the World Cup like a normal high-demand market, or should the world's biggest football event be protected from the kind of pricing that turns ordinary supporters into spectators from a distance? That debate will grow as kickoff gets closer. Every empty seat will be screenshotted. Every expensive fare will be shared. Every hotel discount will be treated as evidence. Every packed stadium will be used by FIFA as proof the critics were wrong. Every travel delay will become part of the argument. Every low-cost ticket program will be welcomed, but also questioned. Why did access need a backlash before it became urgent? And every time FIFA says the tournament is breaking records, fans will ask one more question. Records for whom? Because 2026 could break many records at once. Record match count, record revenue, record ticket prices, record host complexity, record scrutiny, and maybe a record gap between the fans who can afford to attend and the fans who give football its soul. That is the story behind the headline. The ticket backlash is not separate from hotel demand. Hotel demand is not separate from flight bookings. Flight bookings are not separate from visa worries. Visa worries are not separate from political pressure. Political pressure is not separate from FIFA's pricing model. It is all connected. One machine. And right now, that machine is shaking. Not collapsing, shaking. Collapse means the tournament fails. Shaking means the assumptions underneath it are being tested. FIFA assumed demand would overpower price. Fans are testing that. Host cities assumed visitors would flood in. Hotel data is testing that. Travel companies assumed the World Cup would lift summer demand. Flight bookings are testing that. Politicians assumed FIFA could manage ticketing without much interference. Lawmakers and consumer groups are testing that. And fans assumed the World Cup was still theirs. The checkout page is testing that most of all. Most people following this story are getting the surface version. Subscribers here get the full picture, what it means, why it matters, and what is coming next. Do not settle for half the story, because what happens next may decide how this tournament is remembered. If prices soften, if travel rebounds, if hotels fill late, if transit works, and if the matches deliver, FIFA will say the criticism was overblown. It will say demand was real. It will say the biggest World Cup became the best World Cup. And part of that may be true. But if international turnout disappoints, if hotels keep missing forecasts, if fans keep finding unsold seats at painful prices, if local businesses do not see the boom they expected, and if the atmosphere feels thinner than promised, 2026 becomes a warning to every future host. A lesson in what happens when global sport confuses demand with unlimited tolerance. That is the line FIFA is walking now. It can still make history, but it can no longer ignore the warning signs. The April 1st last-minute sales phase mattered. The April 22nd extra ticket drop mattered. The $32,970 final ticket mattered. The $98 New Jersey train fare mattered. The 14.2% Europe to US booking decline mattered. The 85 to 90% Kansas City hotel underperformance warning mattered. The congressional pressure mattered. The European consumer complaint mattered. The civil society travel advisory mattered. The visa bond waiver mattered. Each one is a different piece of the same message. Fans are not just asking whether the World Cup is worth watching, they are asking whether it is worth attending. And that is the more dangerous question. Watching is easy. Attending requires belief. Belief that the price is fair enough. Belief that the trip will work. Belief that the host cities are ready. Belief that organizers respect the people in the seats. Belief that this is still a once-in-a-lifetime memory, not a once-in-a-lifetime invoice. That belief is now under pressure. FIFA wanted 2026 to prove that the World Cup could become bigger than ever. Instead, the early warning is that bigger can also mean more expensive, more complicated, and more exposed. The current tension is clear. FIFA may still sell the tournament, but it has not yet sold many fans on the fairness of the experience. The next threat is bigger than ticket prices. If cities and businesses built their summer plans around a visitor boom that arrives weaker than promised, the backlash will move from fans to taxpayers, workers, and local economies. In my next video, I am covering how host cities are spending public money to prepare for the World Cup, and what I found will change how you see this.